This is the Personal Finance Show.
Hi, I'm Bo Humphreys, and this is the Personal Finance Show. Bessie Hassan is passionate about helping people find better deals and save money. Bessie is the Australian head of PR and money expert at Australia's largest financial comparison site, finder.com.au. I reached out to Bessie for the Australian Personal Finance series because I think it's so important to provide everyday consumers with as much information as possible, so they can make informed financial decisions. Not only does Bessie do that at Finder, she does it in a way that is relatable and accessible and helps promote financial literacy. I met up with Bessie at the Finder headquarters in downtown Sydney, or Central Business District, CBD if you're Australian, where she shared her personal finance story.
Funnily enough, for all my birthday parties, family would often give me money. Mm-hmm. And as a child, that's not what you want. You want the toys.
Yeah, money doesn't mean anything to you,
exactly.
Does it?
So I'd kind of roll my eyes every birthday and be like, oh, not money again.
Nice.
So, until I was a teenager and I realised, oh, this actually means something. There's actual value here, and I can walk into the toy shop and buy whatever the hell I want. Mm-hmm. And it was only then that I really started to appreciate it.
Had you saved it up?
I had saved it up. So my parents had drilled into me at a very early age the importance of saving. And of course I thought that was boring and meaningless at the time. Mm-hmm. But once I'd seen what money could buy, it really did start to resonate with me. And I'd set little savings goals, although they weren't that at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Or that early?
I guess it was more about buying the Barbie that I wanted or,
sure.
or the book that I wanted. But when you think back, that is how it all started for me. And I did very quickly begin to appreciate the value of money, and also how quickly you can lose it or spend it and then it's gone. So the importance of making the right decision with your spending.
These are valuable lessons to learn early, right? If you have kids and you just buy them the Barbie that they want, they don't really learn anything. And then what? They get to university and they get a credit card or something, and that's when they learn the hard way, right?
Absolutely. And something that I want to do now with my two kids, who are 6 and 8, is try to instill those good savings habits in them at an early age and encourage them to save, and then I can match whatever their savings are.
Nice.
Obviously up to a limit. I don't want to be buying them cars or anything too extravagant just yet, but if they're saving $10 or $20, I'll happily match that.
Nice.
I also did school banking here in Australia.
Okay, what is that?
Yeah, it's almost a rite of passage. A lot of kids have a Dolomites account, and that's with the Commonwealth Bank, which is our biggest bank here in Oz. And every Tuesday morning we'd bring our bank books to school and get it stamped and watch our savings grow.
Okay.
So it's not so much about how much you're saving.
Sure.
You could be putting a $2 coin in the pouch that week, but you would over the year watch your savings grow. And because your friends were saving with you at the same time, it became quite a nice, friendly but competitive little habit.
So how is this coordinated through the schools and the banks combined?
Correct. Yeah. So it's an initiative from the bank. They've got affiliations with certain schools. It's quite popular, quite widespread here. And it's a weekly savings initiative. So parent volunteers take your savings, stamp your bank book. And now they've actually changed it up a little bit. My kids do it. And every week they'll collect a token. Okay. And then once you get 10 tokens, you're entitled to a prize, which might be a glitter pan or a bouncy ball or something like that. So it still teaches
savings.
It teaches savings, and also it's not based on how much you're saving, which is great. So your peer at school could be saving $50 that week, and you might only be saving 50 cents. It doesn't matter. You'll both get the same token.
You get your token. Okay. That's good, because people are in different socioeconomic buckets, right? And maybe you go to the same school.
Absolutely.
Is that common here to have, like, I mean, for public schools, I guess you probably have private schools as well for kids.
Yeah, we've got both, and you're right, there's a really wide cultural and socioeconomic mix as well. But the good thing is that the school and the students alike are learning those savings habits from a pretty early age.
Yeah, so you did this.
I did this.
But so you had the book and it's stamped?
I did. And the funny thing is, here at Finder, in my current role, we do a lot of consumer research, and we asked them earlier in the year how many Australians still bank with their childhood banks.
Interesting.
And it was over 40% of Aussies. So I guess there's a lot to that. On one hand, there's a set and forget mentality.
Yeah.
So people sign up and then don't look elsewhere.
They don't want to change. It's hard to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's that resistance to change. But then on the other hand, there could be a better offer out there for you.
That's right. Is loyalty still a thing
Loyalty
for like
is
millennials,
such
say?
A thing, less so for millennials.
Yeah, so this is people who have been around for a bit. Maybe Generation X
Exactly.
has loyalty, and then now it's more about, like, because there's probably no fee options and stuff like that
Exactly.
here too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really big thing here. As a comparison site, we're always encouraging people to review their finances on a regular basis. With health insurance, for example, we found that Aussies stick with the same health fund for 12 years on average.
Okay.
That also means that you're not typically getting the savings that comes with shopping around.
Yes.
Yeah.
How does healthcare work here? It's a two-tiered system, is that right?
It's a complex...
Multi-tiered system.
Yeah, it's a complex one. It's a bit of a minefield here. There are thousands of policies.
Okay, yeah.
Over 30 different providers.
Is there some free healthcare as well?
Yeah, there's some free healthcare under the Medicare system.
Yeah.
But private healthcare is also quite popular. The government's actually encouraging younger people to take out healthcare before they turn 31.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll be hit with a 2% surcharge for every year that you don't have health insurance.
Interesting. Okay.
So if you're taking out health insurance for the first time at 41, it'll cost you 20% more than someone who took it out in their 20s, for example. And that's just to encourage younger people to take it out and take the pressure off the public system.
Okay.
It's also dependent on your income. So if you're a single person earning more than $90,000 a year, or part of a couple earning $180,000 a year, you should take out health insurance for tax reasons.
Okay, because you're going to take a hit?
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Medicare levy surcharge.
Yeah, it's just interesting to talk about the differences, because we do see kind of Australia and Canada as being very, very similar.
Yeah.
But of course, the governmental and political differences would be the main things, right? And we're both Commonwealth countries. So we have a fully, I call it free because we don't have to pay for it, but we pay through our taxes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sure we could compare the tax levels and then find out what's actually free or not.
Yeah.
But it's good to discuss what the options are. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's been toyed around as to whether it'd be better to have some private and some public healthcare in Canada as well. So how is it working out for Australia generally? Is it a positive thing to have all of the different levels?
I do think more and more people are becoming more cautious, I guess, of the cost of private healthcare. So a family policy will typically cost you in the vicinity of $3,500 a year.
Okay.
It is quite expensive. Premiums rise every year.
Okay.
In the last decade, they've risen by more than 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every April 1st, they go up again. And it's really just about weighing it up for your personal situation.
Okay.
And what I always encourage is to make sure you have a tailored policy. So don't just be ticking a box for tax reasons and take out your health insurance. It needs to be tailored. And you can do that by calling your current health fund and asking for an annual claim statement and look at what you've used.
Yeah, is it worth it?
Yeah, and it's baffling how many people don't take pregnancy off their cover once they're finished having kids. Or how many people might be accidentally covered for hip replacement or cataract surgery, but they're only in their 20s.
Seems like there's a lot of parallels to just about anything that we spend money on here, right? We should do an annual or semi-annual audit
Absolutely.
of anything that's maybe an automatic thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Utilities is one as well. We talk a lot about bill shock and even with your mobile phones and things like that.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure.
Definitely. But people are busy. We've got our busy lifestyles. We get into that set and forget mentality.
You do.
And then we pay the price, literally.
Yeah.
Because we're not willing or we don't have the time to jump online and ask for a better deal. And that doesn't always mean switching to a better provider. It might mean calling your current provider and asking them for a better deal.
Yeah, why not?
And if you don't
people
ask,
are afraid,
you don't
though.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. If you don't ask, you don't get. But people are intimidated by the process, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. That and I can see where they're coming from. At first glance, it does seem like a bit of an awkward conversation to have. But really, the ball is in your court. You are the customer here, and the customer is king. And it's a lot cheaper for them to keep you as a happy customer than to have to go out and recruit new ones.
True.
So it's often a matter of calling them directly, telling them your situation and being honest. Simply say, I don't think this is the best value for money and I'm willing to look elsewhere if you can't meet me halfway. And often they'll either get you a better deal or throw in an inducement or waive fees or give you some sort of better offer to keep you.
Yeah. Now, you're very savvy about this stuff now, but I'm guessing you weren't always this way. Like,
No.
growing up, like, so you're a teenager, maybe you're headed to university. I'm guessing you went to a university?
Yeah, I did. I did a Bachelor of Business here at UTS.
Nice.
Yeah, majored in marketing. And that, I guess, is where my love of finance really grew.
Right there, yeah?
Yeah,
Even though
I
you were
did-
in marketing, did you have some finance courses?
Yeah,
then?
I did economics as
Okay.
well and accounting. And that's where I guess I started to see it in a different light. I'd previously viewed it as quite boring and, I'd put it in that finance bucket of too hard.
Yeah.
Too hard.
Yeah.
I was more into fashion, if you like. But then I realised there was a real opportunity for me to break into the area and to be, a young woman in this space with a voice. And
Yeah, so how was it at the time in terms of equality? Like, when I look back, I see it's a whole bunch of white men who've written books. I looked at the books on my shelf before I left home, and it's white man after white man, except for the most recent ones that in my recent life in Canada, where there's some awesome female authors.
Yeah.
And then, so I've tried to have them on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, was it like that in Australia?
Absolutely, much the case here, and very much that stereotype, and that's quite confronting and intimidating
Yeah.
as a person getting into the space. You almost feel like a bit of a fraud.
Like, should I be doing this
Should
at
I
all?
be doing this, and are people going to take me seriously?
And that's
here?
unfortunate, right? Because, yeah, why? Like, who makes these rules?
Who makes these rules? And, rules are there to be broken.
Yes,
and,
good.
Yeah, once I'd started doing a few interviews and getting my voice and my views out there, I really realised that there was an opportunity out there and that people did resonate with, I guess, what I was saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because people, like, I interviewed a friend of mine, Hamza Khan, and, he grew up not like he's in marketing. He went to school for marketing, but his parents wanted him to be a doctor or whatever they felt was important in marketing was kind of frivolous, I suppose. Yeah. And so he had to prove himself, and he always says he would have loved to listen to a podcast and hear a young Hamza Khan talk about how he's in marketing and he's successful. It would have been so inspiring, but instead he just heard a whole bunch of people who he couldn't relate to.
That is so interesting because that's said here a lot as well. A lot of older, more experienced, more serious economists come out and give advice about the property market, for example. Sure. But then on one hand, it's difficult to relate to that information because we know that they've probably got a really impressive investment portfolio.
That's what we think, right?
So really, why are you giving me advice on how to save a deposit when you're so far out of the market yourself?
Yeah, I can't do that, you think? This is out of my league, and if only I could relate to, maybe I could, if you were more like me, or like, if you said it in a more relatable way. Is that what you try to do here at Finder a lot?
We really do. We really try to relate to our customers and to the consumers. We put our customers first and encourage people to take control of their finances. It's a competitive market out there. We've got new emerging online players popping up all the time, new online banks, and it's a different era to, I guess, what our parents grew up in that they only had the option of the big four banks, and then a couple of newbies did creep in there. Here, there is just so much to choose from, and if you're willing to look beyond, I guess, what's traditionally been viewed as the best bank, you could be saving yourself tens of thousands of dollars a year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And now you didn't have these options. I'm assuming you're younger than me. I was born in 1980.
84.
There you go. Perfect. So you're closer to my wife's age, 85.
Yeah.
And so you're considered to be a millennial, right?
You're
just right on a couple of years in. Some people will say I'm a millennial. There's a couple of definitions that extend it to 80.
I think you are.
But it depends. Maybe my shirt says I'm a millennial.
Yeah, you're one of us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, we only have like 5 big banks in Canada as well. So I kind of know the feeling. And so when you're graduating with your marketing degree, and where you're starting to work, and you're making money, and you're learning about investing, or you already did?
Yeah, I actually got my first job as soon as I legally could. I was asking my parents and I guess anyone I could if I could get a job in my teens. And at 14 and 9 months, I ended up
early.
Yeah, I started at Target. Just as a casual, Thursday nights and weekends.
Everyone has this retail experience. Yeah. It's like, I missed out on this. I worked as a janitor in my dad's dental office.
Yeah.
But it seems like it just builds so much character and perspective.
It really did. I loved it on a social level. We made great friends, and just on a customer service level as well. I really took that quite seriously. Would try to go out of my way to help any customer I could. And I was there for a couple of years. I then moved on to Hoyt's Cinemas.
I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. It's a movie, like a Cineplex.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Was there for a bit. And then in my first year of uni, I landed a job in the media. So I...
Already in media. So what were you doing?
I was at Clio magazine.
Okay.
It was the Australian equivalent of
Cosmo. I think I know Clio. Yeah. I think I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a job there in my first year of uni full time, and I desperately wanted to work in media, so I accepted that. And
how would you get that just with no experience?
No, I'd been doing a lot of work experience. So before internships, I guess, became a thing, I'd volunteer my time in school holidays.
Well done.
Yeah, just to suss out the industry and see whether it's where I could see myself full time.
So summer, a couple of months, you'd go work. Were you able to work at like Clio? Is that how you got it?
Yeah, I'd do stints for a couple of weeks at a time, and then stay in touch with the editor. And she emailed me one day and said, "We actually have a job going as my assistant. Would you be interested?" And I remember saying to my parents, "These jobs never come up."
Yeah.
It was a big deal as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
So I took that, I grabbed it with both hands, and then switched my university classes to night.
Okay, so you
I worked
stayed.
9 to 5:30.
Oh, wow.
And then went to uni 6 till 9, 4 nights a week.
Was that tough? How tough
it built
was
my
this?
work ethic.
Sure,
let's put it that
did.
way. It was good fun. It was a little bit of a struggle.
You're young.
Yeah, a bit of a juggle, but I was young and eager and just happy to be there. So that was really good fun.
What do you think the motivation to work was? Like, because a lot of people at 18 would want to just take a year off and travel and stuff. Maybe you even did some of that too. But why was work so important? Do you know?
I think I couldn't wait to get started. I think I loved university, and I did a great course, and it was a great uni, but I couldn't wait to get my hands dirty. And
is it creating? Is it what is it? The motivation you want to?
I wanted to create content.
You wanted to change the world a little bit, to go big with it.
Yeah, I don't know about that at that age. I mean, that's the long-term plan.
Sure.
But, I did want to get hands-on. So I've always been a big reader, and I'm part of lots of business groups and women's societies and things like that. I quite like to get involved and contribute, create content, get the word out there, offer advice, try to help people.
It makes sense that you started so early, and then so what is your role here at Finder?
Yeah, so from journalism, I switched into PR.
Okay,
so I'm the head of PR here, and I lead quite a big team of 10 PR professionals.
So you lead a team of 10 PR professionals. This is national. Is this a national? You're writing for the whole country, basically, or outside of the country.
Mostly Australian.
Yeah.
Yep. So we are a global business, but I'm the head of PR for Australia, and I'm the money spokesperson as well. So I do quite a lot of media and try to share my money advice and tips with the rest of the country.
That's great. So, I mean, you started early. So, yeah, I mean, so that means you're 30, you'll be 34 this year. It was your birthday, November. It was a late birthday. Yep. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing and definitely inspiring for people to start early with what you want. And,
thank you.
Yeah,
I guess I am personally a fan of that. I think I didn't do the gap year travel, and I guess to one extent it's a little bit of a regret of mine.
Sure.
I never did that. I just wanted to get into the workforce. I've never been one just to study or read books. I want to get my hands dirty and
get in there.
And really get in there. So I try to encourage even the interns here at Finder.
Yeah.
And I've got one great one on my PR team to get involved, ask questions, do everything that's asked of you with a smile on your face, go above and beyond. You won't be doing the admin or the photocopying forever. You're just getting your foot in the door. And attitude goes a long way. Yeah, always do it with a smile on your face and ask what else you can do.
It's definitely good advice. But how finance wasn't always, like, you got to be able to make your way in there.
Yeah.
So how are you learning about this? And then how are you able to learn enough to start giving advice and writing about it?
Yeah, a lot of it personal experience as well. So I grew up in a household that was property obsessed. My dad's always been...
That's a big thing here in Australia, right?
Yeah,
in terms of investing in property versus investing in, say, ETFs or anything else. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about, we call it the Great Australian Dream.
Okay, yeah.
Every Aussie wants a house with a backyard and a white picket fence.
Okay.
and it's a sticky situation at the moment because property is just so expensive
here
in Australia.
I've heard a few.
The median property price is at over $1 million in Sydney.
And we're on par with you right now, so that's actually about $1 million Canadian. So people can relate.
Yeah, so it is really tough, but I'd grown up around it. So for me, it became a very early goal as well.
Okay.
I bought with my partner our first apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment at the age of 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you still in uni at this time? Or?
Yeah. I just finished.
Just finished?
Yeah, I just finished. I was on a very lousy salary as well. But
well, let's get back for one sec. So you're Clio in first year, and then how does that evolve throughout university? Are you still working there?
Yep. I worked at Clio for a few years.
So you're making money.
I was making money, not very much.
To pay for school enough? Or how does school get paid for?
School is really interesting. I actually, at the time, I paid my schooling up front each semester to qualify for a 25% discount.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, so
I'm sure you're right
my
about
parents
that.
kind of tricked me. I'm kind of glad they did, but the first semester they said, really thrilled that you've made it to uni. I was the first one in my family, so it was a big deal.
They were excited.
And we'll pay. And then in second semester, I landed the job.
Yeah.
So Dad was like, no, it's over to you now. You're making your own money. So I didn't want to switch to the HEC system, which is what we have here in Australia where you start paying it back when you're earning a certain salary.
Okay, so you can wait. You can defer this.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's deducted.
But you didn't want that because you didn't get your discount.
I didn't want that. I thought it was such a good discount as well.
It is.
I was still living at home for most of the time. So it was doable. And I graduated without uni debt, which was good.
That's fantastic. We talk about this a lot. Do you have education savings plans for your kids? Is that a thing in Australia?
Yeah.
Are you able to contribute to something like that if you wanted?
An official education
savings
plan?
Let's say just a fund that is government sponsored, say. So we have something called a registered education savings plan.
Okay.
And you can start, and the government matches a little bit up to a certain amount per year.
No, we don't have that.
No, so there you go.
But
there's something to lobby for.
Yeah. Schooling is really big here. I was public school educated and turned out fine.
Sure,
but,
me too.
Private schools are, maybe it's a Sydney thing, they're becoming quite popular.
Yeah, what's an average annual tuition for a private school?
In Sydney, they can be around the $30,000 a year mark.
Yeah, that's about right. Public school is really good where I'm from, so the only people who have the money to do so are using the private, but I guess there's benefits to each. I like the exposure to a diverse group of people. I really like that too. For your kids as well?
I really did like that. Yeah, I think it's still too early to tell. They're both at public schools at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'll see, I guess, where their interests lie.
Yeah. When do you make that choice?
I'm going to have to, they are on 2 waiting lists for high school private lists. And the funny thing is that when I started inquiring a year ago, they'd already missed out on the opportunity to attend in 6 years' time because a lot of parents put their kids down at birth or within the first year. It's highly competitive.
I have such rebellion towards this. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just
You're not the only one.
Yeah. But you feel like it's going to be of benefit to them.
I haven't decided yet, so I'm trying to keep my options open. Some claim to have more variety in subjects and extracurricular activities. So if one of them's sporty or more creative, there might be more opportunities.
You want to give
even
them
things like languages.
That might be nice too.
So just considering it at the moment, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, but I didn't want to miss out on the option completely.
Sure.
So I thought when they're in year 5 and I need to decide, I'll go and do my inspections and find out a little bit more.
But you paid your way through and came out debt-free at university. What would be your policy for your kids? What do you think? Do you have one in mind for
it's changed.
Yeah,
so there's no longer a discount.
Oh, you don't get the discount anymore.
No, that's just changed in recent years. It did go down to 10%, and then it was wiped completely just over a year ago, I think.
Interesting.
That is really interesting if there's no real incentive for you to pay it up front.
I mean, other than the positive thing of not finishing debt free or not, or just, there is some satisfaction, right?
Definitely.
Which you probably had.
Yeah, and it is great to be able to start a job, which is usually a lower paying job when it's your first job, knowing that all that money is yours to spend as you wish and that a chunk of it will not have to go towards your tuition.
That is super nice. I heard of this. I didn't have that experience myself, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
But you finished and were you then able to work Clio full time?
Yeah, I was at Clio full time.
Yeah, you were already.
So I stayed within that company. It was called ACP Magazines at the time. And I moved around to a few other magazines.
Sure.
I worked at a launch magazine called Madison, and then I came back to Clio as the senior writer, and then I moved to a different publishing company, Women's Health.
Okay, nice.
Which was quite a big brand.
That's global.
Yeah, exactly. And then I dabbled in PR. It was what I'd studied.
Yeah,
PR and
so
marketing.
you studied that, but you weren't working in it. And why did you decide to make the shift at this point?
Yeah, it was something I was always interested in, PR and marketing. And I just understood consumers and I love shopping myself. So I often put myself in their shoes and think, well, what would I want? How would a bank get through to me?
Yeah.
I am the customer. I'm a mum. I'm a millennial. Like, how are they talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I guess...
that's what we want. That's what we want in a publication. Somebody who's like us, trying to figure out what we want.
And I think that's what helped me as well with my initial, I'm not so sure about this, going into finance with middle-aged men and people thinking, I don't know my stuff. And then I thought, well, why can't I be the different one? I can go out and... There are lots of women out there just like me, and maybe I'm talking to them, and maybe that's what they want to hear. So,
and was this because I'm seeing, like, when I did the research for this podcast series, I just found a lot of women in the media, or writing books, or at the top of their game, and I thought this is great.
Yep.
When did this all sort of come to be in the last 10 years, or? What's the timeline on this?
I would say it's probably been in the last 5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years, yeah.
Certainly growing up, there was no female financial role model.
Sure. Right?
In Australia, we did have an amazing CEO of Westpac, Gail Kelly.
Okay, great.
So
one of the biggest banks.
Exactly, one of the big four.
Big four.
So, and a few others like her who are part of financial councils and things like that. And it's really inspiring to see. Yeah, it's a great point of difference, and I think very inspiring for younger people.
I came across, is it Chief Executive Women? This is a group, CEW?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that? Do you know people who are part of that? Or are you part of it?
I'm not part of that one. I'm part of Business Chicks.
Okay, Business Chicks.
Yeah,
nice.
there's a lot of group, female
and
group
these
networking.
have probably just been coming up in the last 5 years or so too,
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's been around for longer than that, but they've taken off in the last few years. And a lot of people go and you can either be a business owner or have a full-time job, and you just go and network and meet people, and we all want to see each other do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I noticed you've written a bit for Financy. Is a lot of what you're writing, or everything you're writing, targeted towards women? Is that the idea?
No, not everything. No, it's just to the average Aussie consumer.
Sure.
Yeah, try to help everyone save money and make the best of their personal financial situation, and that's the key. Everyone's situation is different, so what's good for me might not be good for you, but you can't be complacent. Don't pay the lazy tax.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been hearing a little bit about the gender pay gap in Australia. Is that still a big thing here? Like, you know, say in a position like yours, you know, do you have an equivalent somewhere else who's getting paid more? And is it
Well, it's interesting because in my field, PR and communications, it's actually female dominated.
Amazing.
So, and I've never personally had that issue.
Okay.
It has been an issue on a national scale, I guess, for the last couple of years. Okay. There was a high-profile case late last year. A breakfast TV show presenter quit because she wasn't getting the same pay as her male counterpart.
Okay, interesting.
And that really made headlines.
And they're like co-hosts, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And it wasn't even close. Yeah, and she'd been there for 10 years. And
wow.
Yeah, so you do hear of the odd case here and there. And of course, I have a son and a daughter. I would not want them paid differently for the same job. So I'm hoping that'll be phased out gradually.
Yeah, how does this change? Do you have any insight on that?
Well, Finder is a fintech company that's growing and going global, and we've actually got a 50-50 workforce. So we've got a lot of women that work here, and everybody is paid regarding their skills and their abilities. Like, it would never come into it.
It's almost like we could just take the gender off the table. You know,
exactly. Best person for the job. What's your skills and experience?
Don't they do blind interviews in some cases?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should implement that.
Right? Like on the Voice, the TV show The Voice, where they don't get to see the singer, they just judge them on The Voice.
That could be a thing.
That's what it is, right? Yeah. Are you doing a lot of writing still as PR? Is that like or more media? What's your sort of balance?
Because I started as a journalist, so it's a bit complicated. I studied marketing, but then my first job at Cleo was writing. Yeah. I do have a real love for writing.
Yeah, it seems so.
Yeah, so I do write a lot. I write a lot of blogs, do lots of Q&As, media interviews. I really enjoy just being able to get some messaging out there and some tips and hopefully helpful advice.
Amazing. And what's the future for you? You gonna just keep growing Finder? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the idea is to become a household name. Yeah. So when I got the job here and I was telling people I'd quit my current job to move over to Finder, a lot of people were asking, what is that? I've never heard of it. And I have to say, I was even a little bit confused about exactly the direction of the company at that time. But I was really excited by the vision of the founders, Fred and Frank, who went to school together and started the company from scratch as a credit card blog.
Oh, interesting. And then, just comparing, like a comparison?
Or just student credit
what's
cards.
The best one? Or
And then it snowballed from there. They started adding other personal financial products. And in the last 12 months or so, we've diversified even further. So we compare things like travel, pet insurance, online shopping, NBN. It goes on and on. The National Broadband Network.
Okay, yeah.
So broadband and telco and phone plans, that kind of thing. Yeah.
All the stuff that applies to people every day.
Exactly.
And the decisions that we're making every day that we don't have the time to do our own comparison shopping, you guys are making it easier.
Yeah, and a lot of the time things happen in life stages. So you're finishing school or university for the first time and might be moving out of home or going on your first overseas holiday or getting your first car. And they're all related to what we do, but we're trying to make it easier for people to make the right decision.
So it's finder.com.au.
That's it.
And like, are you global? Like, I feel like I've seen maybe, was there an American
We
version?
are now global. So
Yeah.
there's Finder.com in the US.
You're able to get Finder.com? Is
Yeah,
that
eventually.
Okay.
It was a bit of a battle,
I'm
but we
sure
got
it was, and it probably cost a lot of money.
Yes, it did. We did set up operations there probably about 2.5 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And the team's growing there quite steadily.
Wow.
We've also got an office in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got
Maybe
a
you'll come to
development.
Canada?
Yeah,
Maybe
that is the plan.
Okay,
Canada
great.
is on the
Yeah.
map. We'd love to grow further. We're looking into some Asian countries as well.
Amazing.
Canada's on the list, New Zealand as well.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an office in the Philippines and Poland as well.
Wow, Poland, that seems
Poland's
so random.
our development team.
Okay.
So we've got a lot based here, but we've got a great
Sure.
tech development team there as well.
Awesome. So people can go to finder.com.au or just, search for finder.com in whatever country.
Yeah.
And well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Bo.
I'm glad to be able to do this while I'm in Australia and, just to promote, financial literacy for everybody, for women. It's very important, to have different people at the top and for people to see, that it's possible. I think that's important.
Thank you, Bo.
If you like this episode, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you're already a subscriber, please let me know what you think of the show. You can email me at bo@bohumphreys.com or tag me on Twitter @bohumphreys. It would be nice to know who's out there and who's listening. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Personal Finance Show. Next week, my Australian personal finance series continues with my first anonymous guest. She goes by the first name Tina and has an Australian financial independence retire early blog called Money Flamingo.